and I understand that Ms. Wong will address that in her argument. So I would like to proceed directly to the bait and switch claims. I will first explain how the court erred, and then I will explain why it is so important. Now, LSW used an illustration here that was misleading as to both the guaranteed interest that would be paid and the fees that would be deducted from the policies. The illustrations stated right up front that there was only one policy fee, and then it disclosed one fee, the monthly administrative or MAC charge. But in reality, the policy as delivered has several other substantial fees. The statement that there is only one policy fee is simply a lie. There's no getting around it, and in fact, the district court's decision does not even mention it, even though it was one of the plaintiff's central claims. As for the guaranteed interest, the illustration plainly suggests that the policy credits guaranteed interest of either 2 or 2.5%, but that is also not true. In response, LSW argues that Proposition 64's reliance requirement eliminates liability for a bait and switch if the plaintiff is told the truth before committing to the purchase. But that very argument was expressly rejected by the California Court of Appeal in Vera v. Banana Republic, decided last December and discussed in our Rule 28J letter. Vera follows the California Supreme Court's decision in Tobacco II, which held that the reliance requirement of the UCL is satisfied if the misleading material was a substantial factor in causing the plaintiff's decision to buy. The Vera court then held that the substantial factor test can be satisfied if the consumer sees the bait and then pursues the transaction, even if the consumer is told the truth before she purchases.
Now, the bait, this case is a little confusing because it's procedurally, has a long procedural history, but the bait that you're talking about is what exactly?
The policy illustration.
The illustration, and what in it in the illustration is it that was so tempting to the buyer?
Two things we would point to, Your Honor.
Yeah.
One policy fee. That's what the illustration says, and then it discloses one fee, and it has a listing of how much how much you'll pay over time. Mm-hmm. But that fee that is disclosed is only one of several fees. There are other fees that are not disclosed.
Okay. And they are disclosed in the actual policy.
In the actual policy.
And so are you arguing that reliance is necessary?
Well, it is necessary that for the named plaintiffs that the misleading material has to have been a substantial factor.
All right. So would you disagree that the district court's finding that the named plaintiffs worked closely with independent financial advisors and thoroughly educated themselves on the policy's features tends to negate the assumption that any misleading element in the illustrations was a substantial factor here that compelled the plaintiffs to purchase these policies?
Not at all, Your Honor.
All right, tell me why.
There was no testimony that the plaintiffs were given the amounts of the fees. There was testimony from the brokers.
There was a lot of testimony, though, that they work closely with independent financial advisors.
Yes, but that doesn't mean they were given the information about what the fees were. And the plaintiffs testified that they thought that all of the fees were rolled up into the numbers that were shown in the illustration. And there is no testimony that's contrary to that. And I would point out also that the district court did not rely on any such disclosure. The district court relied solely on the fact that the information was found in the policy itself.
Let me just, similar question, but with respect to the monthly